come round? Is anyone round the other side? Or? I haven't got a mic tonight, but I have got my voice back, so it's a little bit easier. Cool. Thanks, Phil. Grace, that was great. That's all round the last song that they were playing, I don't know if anyone heard it or knows it, it's a song called Reckless Love. It's a song about how God actually comes and chases after us. And I was thinking how that when you really love something, you do kind of go after it, don't you? And for me and all the team here, it's been a real pleasure running Soul Surf since our last on the season here, but it's been something we've really kind of gone after, and I feel like today as well something, and yesterday I had to really go after. I don't know if anyone heard my story about getting here, but it started yesterday at 8 o'clock yesterday morning. Patricia and I, we had 5 days away down in Cornwall. We left Hale right down in the southwest of England yesterday morning at 8 o'clock. Well, we got back at 3 o'clock today. We had a car broke down, the van broke down on the M25 last night. Promised of, well, it couldn't get fixed, promised of it being picked up and towed back to Norfolk, didn't turn up. Eventually they said, okay, we're going to put you in a hotel. We got put in a hotel at 2 o'clock this morning. Promise of them being picked up and towed back at between 7 and 9 this morning. Didn't turn up. Turned up at 11, towed back, and then the tow truck that was towing our truck and with us in it, then also broke down at Aylsham. So, but I thought that song, I thought, well, you really do want something, like, and you love something, you go after it and you chase after it. And all of our kind of, I think leaders and everyone kind of helped run here, we're obviously part of Soul Church, which is in Norwich, and we do this because we just believe it's something that is worth doing and that we place value on it and value on everyone comes. So just thanks for everyone that's turned up and been through it through the whole season as well. So that's been great. But yeah, if we can have a big round of applause for volunteers, people in the sea, but John's doing the coffee. People putting on the food. And I know tonight was actually, I know we were a bit light on numbers of all people who were helping, and some people have been coming along, but I know they would like to be there, but some people were working and commitments and stuff being on a Saturday kind of daytime, but everyone's really kind of loved it, and just thanks for being part of it. So that's been great. I said thank you to Grace Hill. Yeah, it has been good, so thanks Joe for organising it. It's been a really good venue actually, so we've been able to do that. A little bit easier if any of you came last year when we used to put up a gazebo on the beach. It's a great idea. It's alright if you're in somewhere hot, but a lot of the time the wind's blowing on the, it's not as easy, so it's nice having a facility, so that's good. If any of you weren't familiar, I think we're part of Soul Church. We meet in Norwich actually, so the big church is based in Norwich, and we meet on Sunday from 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock and 5 o'clock. So if people are interested in that or ever want to come along and be part of that, you're more than welcome to. We'd love to have you with us. We also have connect groups that meet out here, so you can come and talk to me or any other leaders about that. And I think as well, Mira, am I right saying the Soul Toddlers is still going on Wednesday?
Yeah,
Wednesday mornings in Overstrand. So if any of you have got little kids and want to go along and be part of that, that's a great thing that's happening out in Overstrand as well. So that's all good. One last thing, I don't know if any of you have noticed, there's been a guy, a small guy called David, wandering around with a camera. He's not here tonight because he's getting married in a couple of weeks, so we thought we'd better dedicate some time to that. But he's been documenting Soul Surf, not because he wanted to document Soul Surf itself, but he came to me at the beginning of the season and he wanted to make a film on how initially it was just surfing, but I think we've kind of broadened it a bit more now, but just about being in the sea and the water, how it improves mental health and how it can help people with mental health. And mental health is a massive thing at the moment in all walks of life, and people got it from small tiny things to big main scale. But he's making a film and he's used Soul Surf and all the filming of it and capturing stuff, and I'm going to do some answer some questions on it for him. We're going to do an audio, but that's probably not going to be. I think it's probably going to be more like maybe in the spring of next year. I think, but I'll let people know if you're on the email. But that's going to be really interesting. Some of you might feature on it, but it's been really cool watching him, and I know he's loved doing that. So it's been something that's again, it's been really good that's come out of what's happening here, which is great. Lastly, I'm just gonna I'd like to introduce a friend of mine. This is Stu, who I've known for, I don't know how many years my name now, Stu. A few years, yeah. And from, obviously we go to church in Norwich together. Stu lives kind of halfway out this way, and he's often out in Crowley. In fact, I think you brought your kids surfing for the first time a few years ago now, wasn't it? Noah's obviously here tonight. But it's been great getting to know Stu, and he's got an amazing story, amazing testimony of his journey with his faith that we're going to hear a little bit about. I don't know what he's going to share, but it's going to be interesting anyway. But I'm looking forward to hear Stu just kind of sharing something with us for 5 to 10 minutes or so, or as long as he wants to. So. But yeah, if we give Stu
Thank you very much, but I think a round of applause for Ben as well, because and that's his work, you know. So he gives this away for free, and so yeah, really appreciate it, mate. And you know, I've loved the last couple of years I've been involved in Soul Surf, so really enjoyed it. So thank you. So yeah, Ben just asked me to share just a few things about my life, really, and you kind of look back at your life and think, okay, what am I going to share? What's the right thing? What isn't? And there's a particular part of my life where I would say I had everything I ever wanted. So I had the perfect job, I had a brilliant wife, 2 amazing kids, lived in the US, used to go skiing every winter, and in the summer, swimming pools, pool parties, the works. It was that kind of dream life that you go, yes, I'm out of Norwich, out of Norfolk, live on the other side of the world, sun, snow, perfect. And then there was a day when it all fell apart. It was like someone picked up the picture perfect world, drops it on the floor, and it was that moment where you just go, what do I do? What do I do? Everything fell apart. So within a matter of about 6 weeks, I found out my now ex-wife had a couple of affairs, and then she took my 2 boys and adopted them. So I came back to the UK, and you know when you're sitting there in your lounge just going, what has happened? And you are literally you're numb. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually. As a Christian, I was just sat there going, I don't get this. I'm doing all this stuff for you, God, all over the world. I've lived in Africa, I've lived in Ireland, I've lived in the UK, I've lived in the US, done mission trips everywhere. God, why have you allowed this to happen in my world? What have I done? What's wrong with me? Why are you punishing me in this way? And you throw everything out there and look at your world and go, it was like picture perfect. People would say to me, oh, I was so jealous of where you are and the life you lead, and then suddenly you're sat there going, it's gone. Overnight. And I remember just sitting there going, God, I don't know what to do. I'm a pastor of a church, big church, everyone looks at you for the answer. I don't have an answer here. I don't know what is going to happen. I don't know where my kids are living. I don't know what to do. I'm the other side of the world. I've got no family here. I've only got friends over the last few years of living out here. What is going to happen? And then over the next few weeks, a few months, I had to make certain decisions and ended up coming back to the UK a while later, and it was like I'd left with everything and came back with nothing. And I felt ashamed, I felt depressed, I felt like I'd let everybody down, I felt I let myself down, God down, and then it was like this fight started. And it's great actually that what you said beforehand, because there are certain things in life that you're going to fight for. You know, you are going to get up out of your bed and you are going to fight. And for me, that fight was my 2 children. I didn't know where they lived. I didn't know literally where they were sleeping. So it started a very long court process, multiple court cases, police being involved. It was it's one of those things where you go to a movie, sit there, watch a movie and go, wow, I bet that never happens in real life. Well, it does. And that's what it felt like. I felt like I was in this movie set of going, God, what are you doing here? I've done so much for you, but you've just disappointed me. You've let me down. You've forgotten me. You've set me adrift, and I don't know where I'm going, what I'm doing. And there are certain verses that you kind of go to in the Bible as a Christian. You go, well, that'll speak to me, that'll speak to me. And then there was this particular one in Psalm 37:5. It says, commit your ways to the Lord, trust in him, and he will act. And I remember just in those moments where I'm in court fighting for the kids, and I remember after it all happened, I felt like things were settling down, and I was starting to see the kids, and it was becoming like, okay, God, you're breaking through here, things are moving forward. And then suddenly, we're now going to move to South Africa. Hang on a minute, what do you mean you're going to move to South Africa? So the boys stepped down to South African, and they decided they were going to move out to South Africa. So you can imagine, after several years of fighting, all that kind of stuff through the courts, again it was like, God, what are you doing here? And every case that had come up, we'd won. Because I trusted God. And I said, right, God, you've got to break through here, because only you can break through here. Went to my solicitor and said, this is what's happening. And she said, Stuart, I'm really sorry. I've got to be honest with you. I'm not convinced you're going to be able to win this one. I went to my barrister. He said the same thing. I went to a friend of mine in Norwich who's a top family solicitor. And again, it was that moment of desperation. I'm going, God, what am I going to do? I could lose everything again. Had a knock on the door a couple of days later, and it was my mum. And mums are amazing, because they always know at the right time what to do and what to say. So she came in and she popped down a newspaper and said, you need to read this article. I'm like, no, Mum, look, you know what's going on. I haven't got time. My mind's all over the place. No, you need to read the newspaper. Got the page out, and there was this particular article about South Africa. So I'm like, okay, let's read it. Now, before I get to that bit, all the way through the Bible, there are miracles. There are things that happen that are completely unexplainable. So at Noah's Ark, let's be honest, God speaks to someone, he builds this huge boat, and several years later the rains come. The passing of the Red Sea. You know, some of these big miracles, Jesus coming back to life, you look at in the Bible and you go, well, it doesn't happen. Does it happen? Does it happen? Does it not? Well, maybe it only happens then. But I know I had a miracle on that day as I read that article. This is why. I was reading through it, and we were about to go to court, and the reality was, if the court had said she can take them, there was nothing I could do. So it was completely out of my hands. The reality was, it was going to be a losing battle. I was going to lose this one. And I remember just literally crying out to God, God, I don't know what you can do. I don't know if there's anything you can do, but I will trust you. So I started reading this article, and it was about abduction issues in South Africa. How as a nation, because of where it is on the coast, a lot of children and young people are abducted out of South Africa, but also a lot of people come through South Africa and taken up into other countries in Africa. And I'm kind of reading through, and suddenly it was like the parting of the Red Sea. It was like the rains with Noah and the ark. Because South Africa, the only country in the world to ever do this, changed their law. So their law changed that only children allowed in or out of the country were only allowed in or out if they had the signature of both parents. So it wouldn't have mattered whether the court in the UK had said, yes, you could take them. They wouldn't have been allowed on the plane at whatever airport to even fly out there, let alone... And I remember just sitting there crying and crying and crying and crying, because my God proved that he was real. my miracle happened. The only country in the world to ever do this. And it was like God said, hey, there's a moment in time when you're going to cry out to me and I'm going to show you who I really am, not just in the small thing, but in a monumental way that nobody could ever deny. So there's a great verse that a lot of people go to, a lot of Christians go to, and this is Jeremiah 29:11. And it says, I'm going to prosper you, not harm you. I'm going to give you a hope and a future. So in that moment, suddenly I had a hope. Now, obviously, Ben talked about my son being here. You know, my future is his. So a few years later, Noah decides to move in with me. Now, I've got 2 sons, so I'm still hoping, and I still know there's a future where my other son may say, hey Dad, can I move in as well? But right at the beginning of this journey, my mum gave me a verse from the Bible, and it said, and it's this from the Old Testament, God will restore the years the locusts have eaten. Now, I don't know your guys' story, I don't know what's happened in your world, what is happening, or what may happen. But I held on to that one verse, God will restore the years the locusts have eaten. And that's what it felt like. It felt like a plague just came onto my life. And everything disappeared. Everything that looked amazing just gone overnight. But God will restore. God is faithful. God is full of hope. God is full of a destiny for every single person, whether you believe or not, is kind of irrelevant. Because when we cry out to God, he will step in. As it says in that verse again in Psalms, commit your ways to the Lord, trust in him, and he will act. You know, I know in my life, God has stepped in and he's acted in a way that I can only point to one thing, that it was a miracle. There was no other way that happened at that moment in time, and I look at that and I go, that was my miracle, that was my parting of the Red Sea, that was my rain when I built the huge ark. You stepped in and you showed yourself in a way that it's not possible other than God saying, I am God. Now, I don't know what's going on in your worlds. I don't know what's happened, where you are, what you're facing, but I know it doesn't matter how big or small the issue is, God is faithful. And that one line from the National Lottery that stuck with everybody, you've got to be in it to win it. And I would say that about my relationship with God as well. I'm in it and I'm winning it. Not because I'm in it, but because Jesus is in me. And he's in me, so I'm winning it. And we just wanted to kind of end this Soul Surf this season by basically saying, you know, we're not perfect. We haven't got all the answers. Our worlds aren't, you know, amazing and wonderful, blah, blah, blah. But I know the difference having a personal relationship with Jesus has meant for me. And if you want to talk to any of us afterwards, we would love to chat to you about actually the difference God has made in our lives. And we just want to put that offer out at the end of the season. If you wanted to say, you know what, I want to be in it to win it, we would love to talk with you, pray with you, and help you on that journey of understanding what the difference God can make in your life as he's made in mine. Thank you.
Thank you. That's great. I didn't realise. I didn't know about that stuff. No, that's really good because that's hard, isn't it? Sharing kind of pretty big stuff like that. So I appreciate it. Thanks, Stu. Thanks so much for that. Yeah, just a final kind of thank you for everyone for coming. The plan is to run it again as next year. What would be really, really cool actually is I'd love to always hear people's feedback, positives and negatives, because you can learn from it and how we can always do things better next year and or different ideas that people have got, and especially people, I know you guys have been the faithful ones and come and done like the whole lot, haven't you? It's been brilliant. So, but yes, it'd be great to just hear from people on your thoughts, and yeah, all being well, we'll carry on and be running for next year as well. just to finish, I'd love just to pray, just blessing over people actually, if that's all right. Just for, I might not see you again for a bit, but yeah, just for the future, and hopefully we'll see you again next year. Before we go, we've still got another kind of 15 or 20 minutes, so feel free to kind of hang around and grab more coffees and that afterwards, and socialise and stuff. So is that cool, everyone? Yeah?
Yeah.
Father God, I just thank you just for each and every person here tonight, and each and every person that has been through Soul Surf this season, Lord. I just pray your blessing upon them, and pray just your voice, Lord, will speak loud, Lord, and open our ears, Lord, to hear your direction for us in our lives, Lord. We just thank you for your love for each and every person here, Lord. We just thank you that you're involved and got our future, Lord, in the palm of your hands. So we just thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Brilliant. Yeah, thanks everyone, and we'll see you again soon.